Today, we are putting together the ultimate beginner's guide to working out at home, right from scratch. We've pulled together the best advice from trainers, health experts, and even psychology researchers to create a complete plan, one that you can actually stick with. So let's kick things off by talking about the #1 reason most people fail.
Okay, let's just get this out of the way. Most people who start a home workout routine, well, they quit. It's this super frustrating cycle, right? You get all motivated, you go hard for a week, and then you burn out, or worse, you get hurt. But what if the reason you fail has nothing to do with your muscles and everything to do with your mind? That's what we're tackling first, by totally flipping the script on what it really takes to succeed.
And that leads us to the first and, honestly, the most important part of this whole blueprint, your brain. You know, we always think fitness starts with stuff like push-ups or going for a run, but a routine that lasts, that's built on a solid mental foundation. If you get this part right, I promise you, everything else we're about to talk about gets about 10 times easier. We've all been told that you just have to find the motivation, right? Or just use your willpower. But come on, motivation is fickle. It comes and goes with your mood, how tired you are, whether you had a bad day at work. Relying on motivation is like trying to build a house on quicksand. It is exhausting, and eventually you're just gonna sink. So what if there was a better tool, something that's more like solid bedrock?
Well, that tool is habit. And a habit, as you can see here, isn't just something you do a lot. The key word is automatic. It's an action that's triggered by a specific cue without you even thinking about it. You know, like putting on your seatbelt the second you get in the car. You don't make a conscious decision, it just happens. That is the kind of power we want to tap into for fitness. So the big question is, how long does it take to actually build one of these automatic behaviors? You've probably heard the number 21 days thrown around, but the real science tells a slightly different story. On average, it takes about 66 days for a new behavior to become second nature. Now sure, some simple habits are faster and some are slower, but this gives us a much more realistic timeline. The goal isn't one perfect week of motivation, it's about 10 weeks of just showing up.
Okay, so we've got our mindset right. Now we can move on to the next layer of the plan, training smart. Because let me tell you, absolutely nothing kills a new fitness habit faster than getting injured on day 3.
Think of these points as the absolute 100% non-negotiables. A good warm-up, it's like easing your car out of the driveway instead of just flooring it from a cold start. You're gently waking up your heart and muscles, getting them flexible and ready for what's next. And the cool down? Just as important. It's how you bring your body back down to earth safely.
This chart right here really shows the difference between working out with your ego and working out with your brain. The unsafe column, that's all about trying to go from 0 to 100 on day 1. But smart progression, that's about stacking small, consistent wins. It means giving your muscles, and even more importantly, your joints and tendons, time to adapt by just adding a couple more reps each week.
This quote pretty much perfectly sums up the idea of smart training. You know that little twinge you feel in your knee? That's a whisper. That sharp pain in your shoulder that makes you wince? That's a scream. If you learn to pay attention to those small signals, you'll never have to deal with the big, painful ones.
All right, our mind is ready. We know how to stay safe. Now it is finally time to actually move. We're going to walk you through a super simple, super effective bodyweight routine that you can do anywhere. It requires 0 equipment, and it's going to hit every major muscle in your body.
This is the beginner bodyweight circuit from Nerd Fitness, and it's just the perfect place to start. It hits all your major muscles, and you don't need any fancy equipment. I mean, you can literally use a milk jug for your rows. It's designed to be done as a circuit, which is just a really efficient way to get a great workout in a short amount of time.
Let's just zoom in on one of these moves, the squat, because getting the form right is everything. The most important things to remember are, keep your chest lifted up, that's what protects your lower back, and make sure your weight is in your heels, not your toes. Then, when you stand back up, don't just stand. Think about pushing the floor away from you by squeezing your glutes.
So, how does this whole circuit thing work? It's really simple. You're just going to move from one exercise straight into the next one with as little rest as you can manage. Once you finish that last exercise, the jumping jacks, that's 1 full round done. Then you can take a minute or 2, catch your breath, and repeat the whole thing 2 or 3 more times. Just aim to do this routine a few times a week, but make sure you get a rest day in between.
Fantastic. You've done the workout. But here's the secret. Your progress doesn't just happen during those 20 minutes of exercise. The real magic, the stuff that actually creates change, happens with your support system, what you eat, and how well you recover. Honestly, This is where most people miss out on the biggest results.
If weight loss is your main goal, this slide right here is a total game changer. The folks at Nerd Fitness put it really clearly. Your results are about 80% nutrition and only 20% exercise. Let me say that again. You cannot out-train a bad diet. Exercise is amazing for getting strong and healthy, but what you put on your plate, that is what drives weight management. They have a great saying. You build your fitness in the gym, but you reveal it in the kitchen.
So, what does smart nutrition even look like? Well, the easiest way to think about it is substitution, not restriction. Just look at the pattern in this chart. The foods in the choose more often column, they're way less processed and much closer to how you'd find them in nature. Just swapping fried chicken for baked fish or potato chips for plain popcorn, these are small, simple changes that make a massive difference over time.
And finally, we need to talk about rest. We have to completely change how we think about rest. It is not optional, and it is definitely not lazy. Here's the thing. Your muscles don't get stronger during the workout. They get stronger when you're resting and recovering after the workout. So taking a day off isn't skipping a workout, it's actually completing one.
Okay, let's bring this all home. We have covered the mindset, the safety rules, the actual workout, and the support system of fuel and rest. Now, here is your step-by-step action plan to turn all this knowledge into a real, lasting habit that sticks.
This is the process. First, pick a simple goal. Then choose an action that is so easy it's almost impossible not to do it. Maybe it isn't the full workout at first. Maybe it's just putting on your workout clothes or doing 5 minutes of stretching. But the most important part is step 3. Link that tiny action to something you already do every day, your cue. After I brush my teeth, or as soon as I walk in the door from work. Then you just do it every day and track it. Over those 10 weeks, that little bit of effort will transform into an effortless habit.
You see, building a fit lifestyle isn't about some sudden burst of inspiration. It's about designing a smart system of tiny habits that will carry you forward even on the days when motivation is nowhere to be found. So the real question is, what's that first tiny habit you're going to start building today?